What if I told you that life inside celebrity families isn't as glamorous or peaceful as it looks from the outside? Behind the flashing cameras and red carpet smiles lie secrets that have been buried for years. Shocking truths about the children of Hollywood's biggest stars, truths about their identities and choices, have not only shaken their families but sent shockwaves through the entire industry. In this video, you'll meet 15 celebrity children who dared to break society's mold and redefine what it means to live authentically under the weight of fame. Their stories will leave you stunned, but once you hear them, you'll understand why the truth matters more than the image. So buckle up, because the first secret begins right now. Richard Pryor, the king of raw, unfiltered comedy, lived a life as chaotic as the jokes that made him a legend. Known for tearing down society's walls with his dark humor about race, pain, and truth, Pryor's personal life was just as turbulent, marked by fiery marriages and children from different relationships. Among them was his daughter, Rain Pryor, born to his second wife, Shelley Bonus. Rain carried not just her father's famous last name, but also the heavy burden of his legacy. In the mid-1990s, whispers about her personal life began to circulate. Then, in 1995, the rumors erupted into headlines when a photo surfaced of Rain sharing an intimate moment with another woman at a Hollywood party. Overnight, the arts community and the public were buzzing. The affectionate glances, the candid photos, the subtle hints, it all pointed to one thing. But the real shock came months later when Rain Pryor spoke out herself. In a bold interview, she officially came out as bisexual, shattering speculation and stepping into her own truth. For Rain, this wasn't just about love, it was survival. Growing up in a household scarred by addiction, broken promises, and constant public scrutiny, she had to fight twice as hard to accept herself. In a world that insisted on defining her through her father's troubled fame, Rain carved out her own identity. Her decision to come out wasn't just a personal revelation, it was an act of defiance, a declaration that she would not be silenced by secrets or crushed by the shadow of a Hollywood giant. And in that moment, Rain Pryor etched her name into memory, not as Richard Pryor's daughter, but as a woman unafraid to live her truth. Marlon Wayans isn't just a comedy icon who gave us classics like Scary Movie, he's also a father navigating the highs and lows of family life under the public eye. Among his two children, one story captured Hollywood's attention in a way no punchline ever could. His daughter, Amai, stunned the spotlight in May 2015 during a charity event in Los Angeles. Known mainly as Marlon Wayans' daughter, she suddenly became the center of whispers and flashing cameras when a photo of her sharing an intimate moment with another woman sent rumors flying. But what began as speculation quickly turned into truth. Only months later, Amai bravely came out as a lesbian, embracing her identity with a confidence that defied the pressure of growing up in a famous family constantly scrutinized by the public. Her honesty turned heads, not for scandal but for courage. And Marlon? He stood firmly by her side. In June 2019, he shared a heartfelt Instagram post with a picture of his daughter, writing, "I wouldn't change a thing about you. Love you to infinity." Those words weren't just from a comedian, they were the unshakable vow of a father. His public support silenced critics and earned widespread respect, proving that beyond the jokes and laughter, Marlon Wayans is a man who values love above all else. Dwyane Wade, a basketball icon, found himself fighting a battle far beyond the court, the fight to protect and support his transgender daughter in the face of relentless public backlash. A three-time NBA champion and Miami Heat legend, Wade's legacy was already carved in stone. But away from the spotlight of arenas, he carried a different role: fatherhood. Among his 4 children was Zaya Wade, his daughter with ex-wife Siobhan Funches. One November night in 2019, the world's gaze shifted unexpectedly. Just 12 years old, Zaya stepped onto the red carpet in Los Angeles, dressed proudly in a feminine outfit, walking hand in hand with her father and stepmother, Gabrielle Union. The moment was more than an appearance, it was a declaration. Yet the bright lights quickly gave way to whispers, side glances, and the suffocating weight of public judgment. Almost overnight, Zaya became the center of a cultural storm. Photos of her circulated endlessly, fueling debates, speculation, and harsh criticism. People questioned her identity, her choices, even her right to call herself her father's daughter. For Zaya, the cost of authenticity was being forced under society's microscope, every move dissected, every step shadowed by prejudice. By early 2020, Zaya bravely silenced the rumors, publicly affirming herself as a transgender girl. But even with her family's unwavering love and support, the struggle was far from over. The world continued to watch, often with cruelty. For Zaya, living her truth meant walking straight into the storm, while her father, once celebrated only for his strength on the court, revealed a deeper kind of courage, the unbreakable resolve to stand by his daughter against the world. Magic Johnson, the basketball giant whose name became synonymous with victory, glory, and the golden age of the Los Angeles Lakers. On the court, he was unstoppable, a living legend whose charisma and talent captivated millions. Off the court, his life took a turn into the spotlight once again, not for his own triumphs, but for the bold and unapologetic path of his son. E.J. Johnson, Magic's son, would shock the world not with a jump shot, but with a revelation. Known for his daring, fashion-forward style, E.J. had already stirred whispers in Hollywood. But on one unforgettable night in March 2013, those whispers turned into headlines. Stepping out of a Beverly Hills restaurant hand-in-hand with a mysterious man, E.J. unknowingly ignited a media storm. Paparazzi cameras flashed, and within hours, the world was ablaze with speculation. For years, fans had wondered about his flamboyant style, his feminine looks, and his fearless self-expression. But that single moment, captured under the harsh glow of tabloid lights, made it undeniable. The son of one of basketball's greatest icons was writing his own story, one that defied every stereotype of what a sports family legacy should look like. And then E.J. silenced the speculation. In 2013, he proudly came out as gay, embracing his truth with unshakable confidence. From that day forward, E.J. Johnson became more than just Magic's son. He became a trailblazer, an unapologetic voice, and a radiant symbol of strength in the LGBTQ+ community. Isaiah Thomas, a basketball legend, but his family faced a painful shock no one expected. Known as one of the greatest stars in NBA history, Thomas carved his legacy with the Detroit Pistons, earning respect across the world of sports. Beyond the court, he married Lynn Kendall and together they raised 2 children. Among them was Joshua Zeke Thomas, born in 1989, who grew into more than just the son of a sports icon. Zeke became a celebrated DJ, a bold activist, and a powerful voice within the LGBTQ+ community. But Zeke's journey was never simple. One summer night in 2017, at a private LGBTQ+ event in Los Angeles, his life was shaken. Surrounded by music and laughter, Zeke was suddenly violated, groped by a stranger in the crowd. Shocked, he fought to push the man away, but the scars of that moment ran deeper than anyone could see. The violation, the helplessness, the haunting thought of being targeted simply for being gay followed him long after the music stopped. Instead of burying the pain, Zeke chose courage. He spoke out publicly, sharing his truth about the assault and the struggles he endured. By doing so, he transformed his trauma into a call for strength, not just for himself, but for every person silenced by fear. His story became more than survival. It was a beacon, reminding the world of the power of honesty, resilience, and the unshakable bravery to confront injustice head-on. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, a Hollywood power couple, admired and scrutinized in equal measure. Married since 1997, they built a family under the blinding spotlight, raising 2 children, Jaden and Willow, each destined to carry their own share of public fascination. But it was Willow, their youngest, who ignited headlines and sparked intense public debate when she boldly stepped into her truth. From an early age, whispers followed her. With her gender-neutral style and fearless attitude, Willow turned heads wherever she went. Then, on a summer night in June 2019 at a fashion event in Los Angeles, everything came to a boiling point. Dressed in an outfit that shattered convention, she walked in with the poise of someone unafraid of judgment. Cameras flashed. Onlookers stared. And when a photo of Willow laughing with another girl went viral, the rumors roared louder than ever. Speculation about her sexuality spread like wildfire. Some questioned, some celebrated, others judged harshly. The spotlight, instead of fading, only burned hotter. Though Willow carried herself with confidence and became a quiet force of representation for the LGBTQ+ community, the cruel comments and constant stares never seemed to let her breathe. By 2021, the weight of whispers had become unbearable. On Red Table Talk, facing millions, Willow silenced the speculation once and for all. She came out publicly as bisexual. Her parents' unwavering support stood as a shield, but the storm outside didn't calm. The judgment lingered, the criticism echoed, and Willow, though freed from secrecy, found herself braving waves that refused to rest. The Notorious B.I.G. wasn't just a rap legend, he was the face of hip-hop in the 90s, a man whose lyrics shaped a generation. Beyond the music, he left behind a powerful legacy: 2 children, Tiana and Christopher C.J. Wallace Jr. But while Biggie's name was built on beats and rhymes years later, his son CJ would find himself at the center of an entirely different spotlight. In May 2014, during his high school graduation, CJ posted what seemed like an innocent photo, hugging a male friend from behind, his head resting casually on the boy's shoulder. Yet that single snapshot exploded into a media firestorm. Overnight, speculation about his sexuality dominated headlines, with former Junior Mafia member Chico Del Vec even fanning the flames by hinting that CJ was gay. Suddenly, the conversation about CJ wasn't about his talent, acting career, or music, it was about his private life, dissected and judged in real time. The rumors spread like wildfire, and the son of Biggie Smalls became the target of endless questions, scrutiny, and whispers. But CJ never bowed to the pressure. He neither confirmed nor denied the speculation, choosing instead to remain silent, live on his own terms, and protect the peace of his private life. Kelly, the world-famous music legend behind timeless hits like I Believe I Can Fly, has long been a household name. But in 2014, the spotlight shifted from him to his own family, specifically his second child. At just 14 years old, his son, born Ja, made a courageous decision that stunned the public. He took to social media and revealed the truth he had carried silently for years. He was transgender. With raw honesty, he introduced himself to the world as J. Kelly, boldly declaring his new identity while embracing his father's name with pride. The reaction was explosive. Many praised J. Kelly for his bravery, applauding his strength in choosing authenticity over fear. But just as many responded with ridicule and cruelty, turning his revelation into a divisive firestorm. Soon after, J. Kelly stepped out at public events with confidence, his head held high, showing the world he would not be broken. When a family photo leaked online, the debate ignited once again, proving his confession was no passing whim, but his truth. Yet the most heartbreaking moment came from his own home. R. Kelly, instead of publicly embracing his son, offered only distant words. He needed time to understand and refused to discuss it further. For J, this lack of support was a crushing blow. The pain of feeling unseen by his father was heavier than the public backlash. But despite it all, J. Kelly stood firm. He refused to retreat into silence, choosing instead to live authentically, determined to win his father's understanding one day and prove that his strength came not from fame, but from being true to himself. Tina Turner, the indomitable queen of rock, conquered the world with her powerhouse voice, electrifying performances, and an iron will that carried her through both triumph and heartbreak. From enduring an abusive marriage with Ike Turner to staging one of the most iconic comebacks in music history, Tina became a living symbol of resilience. But even as she stood tall in the spotlight, her family life was thrust into controversy when whispers about her son, Ronnie Turner, began to swirl. In the summer of 2018, at a dazzling family gathering inside their Los Angeles mansion, Ronnie arrived with an unfamiliar man by his side. The two shared intimate glances, soft laughter, and gestures that didn't escape the eyes of those around them. Just days later, a candid photo surfaced of the pair holding hands at a quiet cafe. That single snapshot ignited a storm, spreading across social media and setting Hollywood abuzz with speculation about Ronnie's sexuality. As rumors blazed through tabloids and paparazzi swarmed his every move, Ronnie chose silence. Yet the intrigue only deepened, with each sighting fueling more headlines. Through it all, Tina Turner stood fiercely by her son's side. Having endured decades of pain and public judgment herself, she refused to let gossip define him. Her message was clear. No matter what the world whispered, her love for her child was unwavering, a mother's shield against the chaos of Hollywood. Cynthia Bailey, the stunning model and beloved star of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, has always lived in the spotlight. But nothing prepared her for the headlines when her daughter, Noelle Robinson, stepped into her own truth. Born in 1999 to Cynthia and actor Leon Robinson, Noelle grew up surrounded by fame and expectation. Yet, her most defining moment came not on a red carpet, but on an ordinary November evening in 2019. At a party in Atlanta, standing confidently beside her mother, Noelle casually revealed something that would send shockwaves across the media. For the first time, she spoke openly about love, not as something confined by labels, but as a connection that transcends gender. "I just love who I love," she admitted. Those simple words ignited a wildfire. Within hours, blogs and social media were ablaze, hailing her as part of the LGBTQ+ community. Support poured in, but so did criticism, sparking fierce debates online. Through it all, Cynthia Bailey never wavered. She stood by her daughter with fierce pride, reminding the world that family is built on unconditional love, not judgment. But even a mother's protection couldn't shield Noelle from the heavy weight of public scrutiny. The whispers grew louder, the stares more piercing, and the pressure nearly unbearable. Finally, during an emotional episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Noelle decided to take control of her own narrative. With raw honesty, she came out, not as gay, not as bisexual, but simply as someone who loved without limits. Her words silenced critics and inspired countless others. Despite the judgment, Noelle refused to live a lie. She chose authenticity over fear, courage over silence, and love over labels. Michael Jordan, the king of basketball, faced a shock that had nothing to do with the game. Beyond his 6 championships, global fame, and flawless legacy, Jordan has always been seen as the very model of success. With 3 children, Jeffrey, Marcus, and Jasmine, his family lived in the public eye, admired almost as much as his career itself. But in an instant, that picture-perfect image was shaken. The moment came when his daughter, Jasmine Jordan, decided to live her truth. One April night in 2013, at a dazzling fashion party in New York, Jasmine turned heads not just because she was Michael Jordan's daughter, but because of her striking beauty and presence. Days later, the world was stunned when a photo went viral, Jasmine hand in hand with a woman. Speculation swirled, and soon Jasmine herself confirmed it. She was proudly part of the LGBTQ+ community. She refused to hide any longer, declaring she would live authentically, no matter the cost. The announcement set the internet ablaze. Support poured in from many, but criticism came just as harshly. The once united image of the Jordan family seemed split under the public gaze. For Michael, the legend who had always conquered every court, this was a different kind of challenge. Friends like Magic Johnson, who had walked his own difficult public path, reached out with words of encouragement. Yet the outside world buzzed with judgment, dissecting not only Jasmine's future but Michael's response as a father. And he did not hesitate. Jordan stood firmly by his daughter's side, seeking advice from Magic Johnson and others on how to navigate the storm of public opinion. Jasmine, meanwhile, faced the cameras with unshakable confidence. At a press conference, she spoke with conviction. She would never live her life according to other people's expectations. It was a powerful reminder that even the greatest legend in basketball is still, at heart, a father, and that love, not legacy, is what defines true greatness. T.D. Jakes, the world-renowned pastor, a man millions look to for guidance, faith, and inspiration. As the leader of the Potter's House in Dallas, Texas, he built more than just a church. He built an empire of hope, drawing tens of thousands of devoted followers. To many, he symbolized stability. A faithful husband to Sarita Jakes, a loving father, the head of a strong, united family. But in 2009, that image was shaken to its very foundation when his son, Jermaine Jakes, made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Jermaine was arrested after an incident with an undercover male officer, and suddenly the Jakes family found themselves in the center of a firestorm. The news was explosive, not just because of the arrest itself, but because it cracked open questions the family had never addressed publicly. Whispers about Jermaine's sexuality spread like wildfire, and the silence from both father and son only fueled the public's curiosity. The world wanted answers. How could the son of one of the most famous pastors in America, a man who preached family, faith, and morality, be caught in such a scandal? Media outlets dissected every detail, television hosts speculated endlessly, and articles painted Jermaine as a mystery. His private life became a public obsession, especially since he had never been linked to a romantic relationship with any woman. To this day, the name Jermaine Jakes still sparks debate and speculation. For Bishop T.D. Jakes, the double shock was undeniable, not only the pain of seeing his son under public scrutiny, but also the challenge of leading his congregation while the eyes of the world judged his own family. Coco of SWV, the powerhouse voice that defined a generation, wasn't just an R&B queen with chart-topping hits like Weak and I'm So Into You. Behind the spotlight, Cheryl Elizabeth Clemens was also a mother, navigating a deeply personal and public chapter in her life through her son, Jaron J. Clemens. In the summer of 2012, at a glittering Los Angeles fashion event, Jaron made his entrance on the red carpet. Cameras flashed, and whispers spread, not just because he was Coco's son, but because of his bold, unapologetic style. His look defied the usual expectations for young men his age, sparking rumors and reigniting speculation about his sexuality. Even before that night, his fearless fashion choices had already challenged traditional ideas of masculinity, sending ripples through the public eye. By 2016, Jaron decided he could no longer live in silence. On social media, he bravely came out, sharing his painful yet empowering journey towards self-acceptance. His words revealed the torment of hiding, the weight of judgment, and the relief of finally living authentically. The revelation stunned some, inspired many, and ignited fierce debates across the internet. Support poured in from fans and the LGBTQ+ community, but there were also harsh voices ready to tear him down. Through it all, Jaron remained unshaken. With resilience inherited from his mother's own strength, he continued to tell his truth, offering hope, courage, and a reminder that living authentically is the greatest act of defiance in a world that demands conformity. Sade Edu, the legendary British-Nigerian songstress, is forever etched into music history with timeless classics like Smooth Operator and No Ordinary Love. As the face of the group Sade, she became an emblem of elegance and soul throughout the 80s and 90s. Known for fiercely guarding her private life, Sade rarely opened the doors to her family story. But in 2020, the world caught an unexpected glimpse when her child, Isaac Theo Edu, publicly revealed his transition journey. With one powerful Instagram post, Isaac shared a photo of himself dressed in sharp, masculine attire, his hair cropped neatly, a gentle smile shining with newfound freedom. Beneath it, he poured out an emotional confession. He had known his true identity since childhood, and now, at last, he was choosing to live authentically. The post went viral, igniting both celebration and controversy across social media. Old photos resurfaced, fueling comparisons and whispers about his identity. Strangers debated, critics speculated, and even some friends began to pull away. Though Isaac had braced himself for backlash, the sting of rejection still cut deep. Yet through it all, one constant remained unshakable: the unwavering support of his mother. Sade, the eternal icon of grace and strength, stood firmly by his side, proving that beyond the stage lights and music charts, her greatest legacy may be her unconditional love. Khary Payton, the legendary voice behind Cyborg in Teen Titans and a fan favorite from The Walking Dead, has built a career on talent and versatility. But in recent years, it wasn't just his own work making headlines, it was his son, Carter Payton. In 2022, Carter stepped into the spotlight at a major Los Angeles charity event. The cameras weren't focused on the red carpet or the A-list crowd, but on a single photograph. In it, Carter stood beside another young man, their hands intertwined, eyes locked with a quiet but undeniable affection. The image was simple, yet it sent shockwaves across social media. Within hours, speculation exploded, and old photos of Carter resurfaced, fueling even more questions about his private life. Through it all, Carter stayed silent, letting the world buzz with curiosity. Then, a week later, he broke that silence. With a short but powerful Instagram post, Carter confirmed what many had guessed: he was gay. The confession went viral, sparking both waves of support and uncomfortable backlash. Even within parts of the Payton family, disapproval surfaced. But Carter didn't back down. He stood firm in his truth, ready to embrace love and criticism alike. For children of Black celebrities, the spotlight has always been both a gift and a burden. They inherit not only fame but the weight of judgment, discrimination, and expectations. Yet Carter's story shows something powerful: a new generation refusing to hide, choosing instead to become role models. Famous or not, these young voices remind us that acceptance and love are the only true forms of freedom. Thank you for watching Exposed Hollywood. If today's story revealed something that moved or surprised you, share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit subscribe, because every day, we bring you the untold and shocking stories Hollywood doesn't want you to hear.